Welcome to A Few Thoughts About, the show where we dig into thinking and how it shapes our experience of life. Each week, I share insights and observations to get you thinking. No long lectures, just quick, thought-provoking episodes to shift perspectives so that you can make the change you want to make. Let's get into it. Hey, so before we get started, if you like what you're seeing in this podcast and you want more of it, specifically if you want more of it with video, specifically if you want more of it with video and you like YouTube, I have good news for you. I just launched my YouTube channel. So the link will be in the show notes. The handle is @ScottPinyardCoach. And it is going to be this stuff. The podcast is going to be on there. Plus every week I'm going to do a deep dive live on YouTube. So I'll stream it directly to the platform. So if you want more of this, if you want to go deeper on some of the stuff, and if you want more content like this podcast, go subscribe to me on YouTube. It's @ScottPinyardCoach, and the link is in the show description. That is it for me. Let's get started. There and welcome to A Few Thoughts About Autopilot. This idea has got me into so much goddamn trouble. Autopilot. This idea of like we're just kind of going about our lives and barely thinking about things. We're just kind of going about our lives and just interacting with things in this like routine way, in a way where we don't really think about what it is we're doing. This can lead us to a lot of places we don't want to go. And this is particularly true with change. And, you know, whatever it is you're trying to change, autopilot is something that can absolutely get in your way. Here's what I mean. I'm going to use drinking as the example here. But like for me, I used to come home every single day and the first thing I would do is make a drink. And I'm, not very happy to admit that I would do this sometimes before I even saw my family. Like where I used to come in the apartment that we lived, the kitchen was in the back. So I would come in the kitchen, I would make a drink, and then I would go out and see my family. That was autopilot. I just did it without even thinking. And there were so many days when I didn't want to drink that I would still come in the back door and I would still pour myself a drink. And it would feel like I didn't even think about it. It would feel like, holy shit. Like I would taste the scotch and just be like, damn it. And so there were times when I drank on autopilot, but there were also times when I engaged in activities and did things on autopilot that were massive triggers, right? Autopilot is kind of where we get to in our busy lives when things just become routine, when we stop really questioning why we're doing what we're doing and we're just doing it because I have so much to get done, because God damn it, there's not enough hours in the day, right? We just do. Well, I should put it this way. Sometimes we just do. And what's really interesting is that if we take a minute and step back and kind of investigate, there's a lot of things that we do on autopilot that actually aren't really great for us. Or maybe they used to be great for us, but they're not anymore. Like the example of me coming in through the back door. And I know this is an absolutely silly example, but oftentimes like simplest examples work well. I realized that if I didn't come in the back door, I wouldn't be on autopilot. So one of the things I did, and those of you who have worked with me know I like to talk about change, like in general, and changing routines to help shift our behavior. I started coming in the front door instead. And lo and behold, guess what happened? I started feeling a lot better, right? I didn't get stuck in that autopilot loop. And so I walked into the living room instead of the kitchen, and I wouldn't just automatically pick up that drink. And we do this in so many areas of our lives. And, I was thinking about this just in terms of, the time of year I'm recording this. So today It is late August, and we are sort of in that tail end of summer before school has started. There aren't really camps. Like, there's kids everywhere, work's up in the air. Like, everything feels disorganized and disjointed. And then there are all these things that we, quote unquote, should do at this time of year that we just do on autopilot. We go school shopping, we get book bags, we get binders, we do all of this. And all of this stuff is really great. Well, I remember when I was a kid, I fucking loved that. Like, I loved going to get the stuff. There was a lot of fun. And I mean, I guess make fun of me if you want, right? Massive nerd here. But like, I loved going to get the binders and, getting pens and getting a new backpack and all of that stuff. But now as adults, like, we just do it and we don't even really think about it because it's another thing on our list. And then we go to work and then we deal with laundry and then we deal with the dishes. And it's just like so many things happen on autopilot. And a lot of times autopilot leads us to a place we don't want to go. Right. So I was talking about autopilot of me coming into the kitchen versus going in the front door. But there are so many other ways that autopilot starts to wear on us and starts to, in and of itself, be a trigger. One thing that happens with autopilot is we get bored. Right. It's like we're just kind of going about our days, not really thinking about it. We do the same thing day in and day out. There's some boredom there. So what do we do, right? Like, when I bring this idea up in coaching, which, I don't have like a first we do this, second we do this. Like, every sort of coaching encounter I have is, I give people what they need based on where they're at as opposed to a particular process. So sometimes I get to a point with people where we start talking about this, where I actually ask them about autopilot. And so if this is resonating with you, if you are feeling like autopilot is something not only that is maybe making your life boring, but is also bringing you toward triggers, then it might be worth trying this exercise I want to talk about. So what I've had people do in the past is kind of go about their days and at the end of the day, reflect back on the day and write a list to the best of your knowledge of all the different things you did on autopilot. All those different things you just automatically did. You didn't question. You didn't even think about it, right? So like for me, it's like I got up this morning and I made coffee in the same way I always did. And then, I did my morning routine as I always do. And then, another thing I totally didn't think about was, how I had to drive my daughter to school. And so we start like putting this list together. And there are a lot of things that we do automatically that autopilot works great for. But I got to tell you, 9 times out of 10, when someone does this list, they start to see that some of the things they're doing on autopilot are actually kind of triggery, are actually like kind of not helping them very much. And it's amazing what can happen when we break that pattern. And that's the last piece I wanted to talk about today. It's like, what do we do to break that up? Like, what do we do? Like, we recognize that certain things are running on autopilot for us. We recognize that some of those things aren't great. How do we fix it? Well, there's a few things. First, one of the biggest things is figuring out how to change those routines. So autopilot actions are always going to be triggered by something. Maybe it's a time of day or a particular person or a particular task. Get a sense of what that routine is. Get a sense of how that is being triggered and make a change to that trigger. And so like for me, right, that was coming in the front door versus the back door. Very simple thing, but I didn't have the trigger for that autopilot move of just getting a drink. So look around for that, right? When you identify something, see what that is. So I had a client whose like massive trigger were her kids yelling when she asked them to clean their room, right? And again, this is like the sort of thing that we all kind of have to deal with. And so what was happening is it was like toward the end of the day and it was like wind down and just before dinner. And they had a rule where you have to go just tidy up your room. It didn't have to be perfect, but just tidy it up so that you can go to sleep tonight and like things are relatively tidy. And then in the morning, like it's not a giant mess. And so we were having this conversation about how that had just become autopilot. Asking the kids to tidy their room was just autopilot. And then those kids didn't want to tidy their room because you know what? Right before dinner, they're tired. They're hungry. They don't actually want to do it then. And so what was happening was this autopilot reaction of saying time to clean your rooms was creating a ton of stress, and that stress was creating a trigger. Then it was like, oh, maybe we have to do this differently. And this was a couple of years ago, so I don't have evidence that this is still the case, but I can tell you that for at least 6 months after this conversation, they changed when they asked the kids to do that, and instead they asked them to do it after they got ready for school, and it made everything a million times better. So like the thing still got done, but we didn't have to do it at a time that made everyone scream, and most importantly, we avoided a big trigger. So look at that in your life. Like, where are the places you're on autopilot? Where are the places you're just doing the same things over and over without thinking about it? And what can you do to change those? Again, some of them are totally fine. I'm on autopilot. Trust me, I don't think about that first cup of coffee I make when I wake up in the morning. Like, I come downstairs and then I pretty much immediately go over to the coffee machine and make myself an Americano. Like, that happens just about immediately. I'm okay with that being on autopilot. I definitely am. You know where I'm not okay with autopilot? I'm not okay when I like sort of veer into I'm doing air quotes that you can't see, but like the 8 o'clock check-in for work. You know, I can so easily get sucked into things that I've found like that autopilot of like, oh, it's been a few hours, that like feel of that need to get sucked in was just something I did every night. I've noticed that over time it's been sucking me in more and more. And so I'm changing that behavior. So spend some time this week and think about this idea and tell me what you think about it. I mean, autopilot is a thing that can keep us stuck in ruts. It can keep us going over and over and over to conversations or people or behaviors or places or environments or whatever it might be that don't actually help us get toward our goal. And seeing that and changing it can make a massive difference. That is it for me. Tell me what you think. scottpinier.com/podcast. And if you want to hear me go into more depth on this topic, I'm going to do that on a YouTube live. So if you haven't yet, you can go to YouTube, search Scott Pinyard Coach, all one word. That's my username. The link is also in the description of the podcast. Go subscribe and turn on alerts and get alerted when I go live. And then you can join me live when we talk about this stuff. Autopilot's a big one. It's one that I see a lot of people struggle with. And it's something that I hope in shining a light on it is something that will help you as well. So again, thanks for hanging out with me. I will be back again next week.